Alrighty then. Let us light this candle. See what's going on. Looks like we're actually started. Nobody's waiting according to this, but this isn't always accurate. So, lots to do, not much time. Thought I'd start the stream off by asking for if you guys have ideas for topics of future streams, you can leave it in a comment on the video. How do I? Let's center that. It's ugly. All right, so yeah, so if you guys have ideas for future content for future live streams, leave it in a comment on the video. That'll sort of improve engagement and so on and so forth. Possible ideas. I could live compose some music. I'd have to change my setup a little bit to be able to see the keyboard, and we could do some more art, Blender models and things, which I do have a lot of that to do coming up. Of course, there's always tons of coding, scripting and other kinds of content creation, or ideas that you guys might think of, things that I could live stream. Anyway, let's keep the all right. So that being said, I will also mention my patrons. So we've got the superheroes up there at the top, the four guys. I'm not going to try to butcher your names. We got the heroes and the regular members. If you basically any dollar amount gets you regular membership, and you get access to some of the private channels on the Discord, maybe some early access to some things, and of course the heroes and superheroes get maybe some future perks. I don't know, but they're certainly appreciated. Yep, patreon.com/pspeed42 if you want to help support the development of the open source software, or just want to contribute in some way, buy me a donut and so on. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about what we're going to do today. So, as you may remember before, we were working on sound. And we had quite a few distractions, but that's what all live streams about. Let's continue the last world, and we can go and look at what we were doing. Also, I've been adding ambient sound, so you get a quick demo of that. So we're walking around, there's different forest ambience, different times of day. I'm going to add some other things too. Of course, part of us implement, so you can hear the ambient forest sounds. And as you walk farther away from the forest, it gets quieter, which is a little too dramatic, because here you'd still be able to hear all that stuff. So I need to tweak that a little bit, but that's the idea. As you get closer to the forest, it gets louder again. So today we're going to try to make these objects make sound. And we set up the entity system stuff. We gave them components, so they should be able to play sound. When we get the sound part there, the data supports it. In order to make that a little clearer, I'm actually going to disable the ambient sounds we've got set up, just to make sure that we can hear what we want. I can go in here. You know what? I'm actually going to just leave it in, but so it stops updating. I believe that'll just make it never play them. Excuse me, a little burpy today. So we're back into our sound view state. So one of the things we need to do is, I'll bring up a visual aid. How's that? Not that visual aid. That visual aid. And I finally paid for a subscription to Photopia, so we don't have the ads over here, which is nicer. So pretend like this is a top view of our world. where each of these is, you know, one of those 32 by 32 cells, and maybe this is the avatar. And we've got these sound sources playing around here. Now in Mythruna, the world is infinite, so we localize everything to be around the camera. And so the camera is actually pinned, you know, based, this is 0, 0, this area right here. In fact, let me add a marker. We'll just put a plus sign or something right there to indicate that's our 0, 0. And so for every world coordinate, you know, that's million by million, we know what this world coordinate is, and we subtract that, so we get the relative coordinate. So, you know, anything in here is going to be within the 0 to 32 range, and here's minus 32 to 32, and so on. The point being is that these sound objects, they'll come in with their world positions in, you know, pure world space, and we need to basically subtract the local origin world so that we get them in local space where this is 0, 0. And the reason that's tricky or so is because as we, you know, as the world slides around, actually I want to, as the world slides around, as soon as the player crosses this boundary, now we move this origin here, and then we need to recalculate everyone else's relative position, you know, because this guy's now in negative 32 space. So that's the tricky part, right? Hopefully I've explained that well enough. And so that is what all this relative coordinate update view position stuff is trying to do. We come in here and we get, whenever we update, we get this, we know the position updated. This is the world position of the camera, or the player, the avatar. Oh, thanks. Just let you know that my response to the chat delays by like 30 seconds because the video feed is delayed by 30 seconds. But thanks, glad you showed up. So in the update method here, you know, whenever the position updates, that's the world position of the camera or the user player. We call this update view position, which finds out what their grid cell is. That's the 32 by 32 by 32 grid. And if that's different than the last one, if it's the same as the last one, we just don't do anything. If it's different than the last one, we keep track of it. We keep track of what the center world position is, and then on that other picture, that's what this is, the world position of this little cross right here. And we do that so we can subtract it from all the world coordinates of the other things. So that's kind of what we do here. So we get that center world, and then we'll reset relative coordinates, which is supposed to go through all of the current sound objects we have, subtract the world position from them so they're relative to the camera space. And then we also checked this in 2D space. That's the part we did last time. In 2D space, if that grid position has moved, then we also reset the sound filter, which is telling the server which of these grid cells we're interested in. Right now we set it to 1 radius, so we're interested in these 9 grid cells. Any sounds in there, the server will tell us about. Any sounds outside of that, the server will not tell us about, because we don't want to be notified about sounds, you know, 10 miles away. We're not going to hear them anyway. That's the part we did all last time, and we verified that was working because we saw the sounds get added and removed on the HUD. So today what we need to do is we need to do this reset relative coordinates, which will go through all of the sounds and calculate what their local position is relative to that cross on that other view. And this is not so hard because we've got this sounds array, which we are going to so iterate over these sounds views. Actually, we'll call it view. Let's see, get array, and basically we'll let them worry about it. I think we've already got a method set up to do it. In fact, you update relative position, because I've copied a bunch of stuff trying to get this done last time. So for every sound that is currently within our view, we'll update its relative position every time the center zone, center cell changes, and this is in 3D space. So we come down here, and so if we had an audio node, so we calculate what our world position is. That's what this, let me scroll up a little bit so we can see a little bit more. So in this sound view, we keep track of our entity and some other things, but the spawn position is what our current position is. So we're only dealing with static sounds at the moment. And so that position is our world position. We subtract the world position of that little cross, that's our local origin, the center world. So we get a new location and we set the local translation to that. And we go ahead and set the orientation as well, just in case sounds have directionality at some point. So I ended up implementing this all last time, and then we got to the point where I started to look at it and I couldn't figure out why we weren't seeing our little test box. And I'm still not sure why. So we've got a sound root, which is our root node. Do we ever attach that to anything? No. Well, that would be why we didn't see anything. So typical pattern here is that on enable, when the app state is enabled, we'll add its visualization to the scene, and when it's disabled, we'll remove it. That's just standard app state lifecycle. We create the shared stuff and initialize, and then we actually add ourselves and remove ourselves from the scene and on enable. So in here we want to probably get application and we'll cast it to usually cast it to simple application because this has never been finished in JME. So application get simple application get root, I think. Attach child sound root. And then in here, sound root removed from parent. So on the app state enabled, we attach our sound root, which is a node that will add all of our relative stuff to it. Makes it easier to add them all and remove them all when we're on enable and disable. And then we update the relative coordinates. When we create the sound view, we create the audio node. We don't play it because we haven't actually given it any sound. May actually not like that. For the moment, I'm going to replace this with a regular node. Just to be sure we don't end up with any audio node weirdness, because audio node is a super weird class. Test. I just give it a name. Usually a good idea. Just give it something in case we have to identify it in logs and things. Okay, we add a test box that's 1/2 meter wide. We should definitely be able to see that. It's red. Alright, I think if we run this, we should be able to see where our sound sources are. Won't play sound yet. We're not playing sound. Alright, let's get root node then. Alright. Alrighty. Will we see big red boxes? That is the question. Yep. Check it out. So it's putting them at the in this case, it's putting them at the 0, 0 of the model itself. You know, the model position is relative to the origin of this model, which is going to be in its corner, which is probably not what we want for the sound source on this particular type of object. And so probably we want to redo these. So let's guess that, so the box is centered, so our origin, oh excuse me, so our origin is in the center of the box. So 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. So this guy is 3 blocks wide, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 7 blocks high, something like that. So it's 3 by 6, 7, 3 by 7. We'll see how that works. So we'll go into where I created the scripts. If you remember from last time, we created some test objects, I believe, in objects, space objects. So we've got our, not our axe, not the sound one. Yes, the sound one. So in here we placed the, oh, that's going to be a problem. Yeah, so I can't actually change where that sound comes from because we've placed it with the object, and sounds have no offset. Probably what we want is for either a parent-child kind of thing to go on, or in sound info we may want to add an offset so that it can be offset from wherever the actual position is, because that's going to be super useful in a lot of cases. The other thing I noticed that we didn't include here is whether this is ambient or not. And normally that wouldn't matter, except for I have the idea of that the server would be randomly playing different ambient sounds, you know, birds chirping in the bushes and things. And normally in old Mythruna that was all done randomly on the client, but I kind of have this idea that it would be better to do it on the server, just to kind of random, because then if we're all standing in the same, excuse me, if we're all standing in the same relative area, then we'd all hear the same random ambient sounds instead of unique to each viewer. So I'm going to have to change some things here. I don't know if I want to drill into how you would add fields to this and fix your database. So for now, we'll just pretend it's not a problem. And the other thing we could do is we could create 2 separate objects, which is certainly doable. But for now, I think we'll just leave them wrong. And so the issue is, see, if I have one spawn position and the model is already placed there. If I tried to place the sound at an offset spawn position, I'd have to use a separate entity because the entity can only have one position, obviously. So we're going to do this machine spin. Okay, so let's make sounds. We want to go back to the sound view state. I think let's first try turning this back into an audio node. What does audio node's constructor look like? I think we had it. Audio node. Well, all of the useful ones have been deprecated. So when I did sound state, that's what's handling the music and the ambient noise. I did a whole bunch of exploration on live streams, in fact. Audio factory, so that's created in here. It is. So here's how we created the audio node, the audio factory, and that's another thing I need to check. Is the sound I need to see if the sound is mono, because stereo sounds can't be positional. That's a gotcha that gets a lot of people. Where'd my sound effects go? Machine spin, there it is. Can I open it with, yeah, we'll just load Audacity separately and then drag it over. Has anybody joined the stream other than Skip? Okay. Well, not according to that. All right. Okay. So back to here. Machine spin. Yeah, it's stereo. We need to find sound effects that are not stereo or make them mono. And how do I select all? How do I make? I haven't played with. Can I? Nope. Yeah, split stereo to mono. Okay, so let's solo one of these and play. Okay, what does this one sound like? I know it's dumb, but I think I like this one better. So let's get rid of this one. We'll save this as save project as machine spin mono. Okay. Then we'll export it as OGG machine spin mono. All right. Now the problem is our sounds are all set up for, so no matter what we do, we're going to have to redo our little sound guys because these have it hard coded in there. So we ought to, so first let's get things to play at all. And so we'll get that, we'll load, yeah, we're gonna make a key. Sound state was given a key. Yeah. Asset. Oh, we make a key if we don't have one, so we want to say audio key equals new audio key sound info dot get sound, what did we call it? Sound info get sound name. Do we get any data? We did. Okay. Sound info dot get sound name, pass it entity data, streaming. I don't know if we have a choice. I think it has to be for OGG, but let's try cached. Okay, we got, yeah, I gotta do a long way, audio node, which is just audio. For now, we'll set positional false. And we will play, even though it's going to play it at the wrong time, potentially. Right, is that what it is? Play. Yep, so it's going to play sounds. It's going to be obnoxious. They're not going to be positional at all. We will see if it plays them at all. We should have two running at the same time if it runs at all. goes. That was weird. So it was working. I think that we played it over and over and over and over again. And oh, we still have sounds because we seem to have killed. Oh, I killed ambient. So why is it doing that? We set the sound info. Let's log that we're playing the sound. Let's make sure we're not just doing something dumb. Alright. It's definitely playing sound though. And those were stereo because yeah, we've got to recreate those. It's just a bug in JMonkey Engine. At any rate, we ought to be able to place another one and hear the sound. This one will do the monochrome sound. Oh, check it out. Okay, we definitely need to make that positional. Alright, so that one finished. I don't know why these do that weird looping thing. But I'm also not going to worry about it for now. Oh! Hey. That's not good either. Oh. We're not cleaning ourselves up properly. That is something else we will have to work on. So the models were handled by the model view state, and those little red boxes are handled by the sound view state. And see, we have a release method, but we're not doing anything with it. And so we should be saying, if audio is not equal to null, remove it. And you know, ultimately, this audio node is not really going to work for us because JME's audio node is very limited. We can't do looping, et cetera, unless we cache it, and we really don't want to do that for everything. So that was interesting. Why was... Let's see, though, if that monochrome sound will do that looping thing, that weird loop the first 2 seconds or 1 second when we start up. Oops. Weird about those stereo sounds. Boy, that's loud. Yeah, because it's not positional. You know, we ought to be able to say, oh, crap. Oh, phew. I'm going to remove this, though, so it's not automatic next time. And see, the red box went away, so we finally cleaned it up properly. Okay. Ooh, that was loud. Sorry about that, guys. And it's not controlled by volume or anything yet, so yeah, good times. Perhaps we can fix that too while we're here. since that's going to kill us in the long run. So we had this in our sound state. Really, I would have liked to have played the sounds through the sound state, but I think I'm going to manage them over here. And so then on initialize, just like over there, we want to grab at least the, well, we'll grab ambient too, because I think I'll end up doing ambient over here for the Foley sounds, you know, like a Foley sound engineer for a movie, positional audio that they add to the movie afterwards. Okay, so bring these over here. And we don't want music over here, just whether we're muted. And the effects volume is what we're really interested in. And we'll make a reset volume. And here we will do similar loop to this. And then in our update, we say change equals false if mute ref update volume changed if, what do I call it, fix volume ref update, then we will set that to, and then if volume changed, then we want to reset volume. Now, Paul, why did you do this as two separate if statements? That's because each of these will be updating an internal reference counter or version counter, and so we want to make sure to call for both. And if we had an or in one if statement, it would only do the first one if that's true. It wouldn't even bother to execute the second one, and so then we'd always do this twice through. Is this way, we'll update whatever mute is true or false, we'll update whatever volume currently is, and then we'll just change the volume once instead of also doing it again on the next frame. Okay, so we added a reset volume. So in here, reset volume, and we'll say if audio is not equal to null, audio set volume, get effects volume. And then up here, let's actually put this closer to this guy. Return, see if mute ref equals null or effects volume ref equals null, we'll return 0. If we don't even have one yet, we can't have sound, so if mute ref get, we're muted, return 0, else return effects volume ref get. I think that's what we need. And so now, if it compiles, it should pick up the global setting for, whoop, it does not compile, game setting state. Game setting state is, yep, in the root of client game. And effects volume. Tempted to do this because I always get that wrong. If you always call it effects volume, then type it out that way. and you won't have a problem. Life advice. Okay, so if we cast this to double, it's going to look weird, right? Cast to double, cast to float. Because it's a capital D double wrapper. We use the cast to double to get it to auto unbox, and cast to float because we know we can do that. Come on. Alright. Here we go with some audio. Hope you guys can hear me okay. I've got the microphone kind of down at my chin because I was trying to prevent from constantly blowing on it. Okay, so let me confirm that you can hear me. Ta-da! Yep. Let me up this a little bit. Maybe you can hear me a little better. I don't know. I know audio is always a problem on this I almost said podcast live stream. Okay, of course I'm talking to nobody, I think, anyway. It's just telling me warning, stream's bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. Well, I've got 2 concurrent viewers. Okay, so I do have some folks on. Cool deal. Alright, back to the game. Back to the game, already in progress. Alright. So if we equip this, it should be no louder than our current effects volumes. Yeah, it's much better. And if we go into settings, we should be able to say mute. Oh no! It's not working. Go away, go away, go away. Ah, phew. Okay. As, I think it was Strongbad would say problematic. Somehow, we are not getting the right effects volume. So, let's spend 4 minutes, 5 minutes debugging that. So we won't play, but we will check to see if we're actually resetting the volume. Log info, reset volume, get effects volume. Alright. Log debugging. Has the benefit of being there later when you want it. May have to mute the music. You guys think you've heard that song a lot. Alright. Okay. So we place the thing. Ooh, do we get a reset volume? Okay, so we never set the volume in the first place. That will be a problem, of course. And then we have that guy there, and if I mute, okay, it does reset the volume. Sound view state is resetting the volume for that sound. For example, if we make another one, now we should see it set twice when we do this. Oops. So when I mute, we should see 2 of them. Yep. And in fact, if we lower the effects volume. Okay. So for whatever reason, we are setting the volume. Yeah. We are setting the volume of the audio. But JME does not care. would that be? All right, that was 5 minutes of looking into it. We'll leave that reset in there, and we definitely know we want to set the volume before we play anyway. By the way, as I think of this, I'm going to write some notes on things that I'm not going to get to. Things I'm not going to get to at the moment. 1. Dynamic objects, i.e. physics controlled. 2. Starting, stop, synced to game time. That's when we have it on the sound info. It tells us when the thing was supposed to start, but we're just starting as soon as we see it. These are things I'm definitely not going to get to today. We got 20 minutes. I do want to get positional audio working. So we'll set audio positional true. Then the other thing we need is an audio listener. And helpfully, someone in JMonkey Engine's past decided to just call this listener. Because as we all know in computer science, there is no such thing as listener anywhere else. Nobody does. Listeners, obviously audio. There's no event listeners. There's no. So it's okay. And so I know that I did a trick. So one of the problems on Macs is that some of the problem people were reporting was that it couldn't find OpenAL, which is the audio library. So I added something to not JMonkey, to Mythruna, so that you could disable audio. So hopefully those guys can run this next version just by disabling audio completely in their config. But that means that we won't have a default listener, so we'll have to create a listener. That's not a big deal. Did I already import audio? Yep. Okay, so we'll create a listener, and we'll call it audio listener. Or we can call it ears. How's that? All right, so we've got ears. And does the avatar state provide a eye position? It does. Okay, so we will use eye position for our listener. And does it provide camera facing as well? Nice. So we will steal these. And listener ears on update, we want to make sure if the position has updated, then we will ears set location. Here's the trick though. Remember our picture here? Our position is in world space. Our eye position is in world space. So we want to make sure to make that eye position relative to this guy. And so whatever we've got there, we want to subtract it from, or subtract center world from it. So loc equals get state, avatar state. We won't worry about the fact that this is super inefficient. So get eye position, subtract center world. So we make it relative. Yep, and we do it after update view position. That's important because update view position will update this center world. If we did it before, we might get one frame where our ears are not in the same place as the rest of the world. That would be bad. Just trust me. We'll worry about facing later. We don't really care. Actually, we do care. We care very much because the positional audio is also based on direction. So, so we've got the location of our eye. That's going to be close enough for the ears. So we want loc to vector 3f. Now we set the position on the listener, and we'll do that whenever the position updates. But and you know what? I will go ahead and be efficient. Avatar state avatar, and we'll go ahead and grab this once instead of grabbing it every frame. So anybody who's ever curious about how to use app states and use them like services, this is how, right? One app state can grab the state of another one, and so on. Avatar, and then in here, we don't know when the mouse position, when the view changes. We'll just use camera facing, so we'll set ears. What do they call it? Set rotation. We'll ignore velocity for now. Ears, set rotation. And we want avatar get view camera facing. I think view facing is like the 2D at any rate. 2D view. Convert it to JME's quaternion from the world quaternion. And so that we should have set the listener, all the stuff. When we initialize, though, we want to get the audio renderer and set the so I had all these classes open because I was recently dealing with this, and then my system died. Every couple of weeks it overheats, and I come back and I've got to log in again because all my stuff shut down. It's the only computer I have that does it. And so I think if we look at how audio listener state does it, which I'm not using, but it's going to, oh no, it's just getting the one that's already there, right? Yeah, it gets the one that's already app get listener. So it seems like application already has a listener. Maybe we don't have to worry about that. Oh, and we want legacy application. Get listener. Get listener. Yep, only when you initialize audio. But then audio render set listener is what we want. And where can we get the audio render? There we go. All right, cooking with gas now, folks. So app, get audio render, set listener, ears. And you know, we'll be good citizens. And we'll grab the original one, just in case. I believe it. Provide it must. And so then when we clean up, original listener. Okay, so we've got an audio listener, we've got positional audio, we've positioned that audio. I will preemptively assume we will have problems. And so I will say listener location oak, and then maybe when we reset the local position, I will log position oak. Okay, let's see. Are we going to have positional sound? Who knows? I try to be a good citizen, but you just can't. So I think then it must be application that has the get listener. I know it has to have one because that app state was using it. So let's try that. Let's see. Will we add sound? Okay, so we're setting the listener. We can see what I'm looking at down here is these log statements as I move around. Setting listener, the value seems small, which is good. This value seems big, which is also good because that's our, we don't do anything with y, only x and z. And so we're good there. So let's play a sound and see if it's positional. It is not. It kind of is. Yeah, it's definitely, it was definitely changing in volume as I moved around. There's other settings. I forgot about this. It's like all of the audio node defaults are like never what you would want them to be. If you start to look, in fact, I think that I think I added JavaDoc to that effect. If we go back to audio node, because there's this weird set max distance, and then there's like a set ref distance, yeah. So set max distance. Sets the maximum distance for attenuation for it does nothing if the audio is not positional. The maximum distance is the distance beyond which the audio node will no longer be attenuated. Now, it's not that you won't hear it anymore, it's just that it'll stop getting quieter. So you want to make sure to set max distance to something ginormous if you really want sound to ever get to 0. And then you want to set ref distance to be whatever half of where you want, like ref distance is the distance where you want the volume to be half. So we will set, yeah, it's confusing. I wish I had a diagram handy to show you what I mean. So audio set max distance. We will set it to big or positive infinity. I don't know if it accepts positive infinity actually. Anyway, it doesn't matter really as long as it's big. And so the set ref distance, where do we want the sound to be half volume? For really dramatic effect, we're going to set this to 4 meters for now. So if we're 4 meters away from the sound, it should be half the volume, which means another 4 meters, it should be, anyway, it's a logarithmic kind of deal. I forget exactly what the curve looks like. That can be a Google exercise for the viewer. All right. You know, I never checked to see if the audio was actually put in the right place, but let's see. See, it's definitely changing as I turn my head. I don't know if you guys can hear it in stereo. It's definitely changing as I turn my head. We need a replay button. But it's definitely not changing as we get farther away. But I wonder if this is related to... That was weird. So I wonder if this is also related to the fact that it seems to ignore when we were messing with the volume. So if I mute and play, what happens? Let's see. Okay, so initial volume is paid attention to, but if I turn it back on, yeah, we got nothing. So for whatever reason, however I've set this audio node up, it is not liking the volume change, and it's not taking effect. So right now if we played something, it's going to play it, but it won't pay attention to the mute or the effects. And I suspect that's the same reason. Basically, set volume's not working, and the sound attenuation is using the same thing. So what I'm going to do is go back into Audacity for a second. Yeah. Does it have a recent files? Yeah. Ooh, okay. So let's instead export as wave. That's a good question. Will it pick up the initial sound? That's excellent thinking, by the way. So let's try that too. Let's try that before I make this other change. I'm going to leave this open because now we've had it open twice. That's a good question. I really wish the chat and video delay was less so that we could have more interactive conversations. It's a little frustrating. Oh, I left them on, didn't I? Oh, and it's doing its looping thing. So this was a problem with when the sound is initialized. Seems like I have a lot of things to debug this weekend. Let's delete that object. Delete that object. Uh-oh, 3 hours off your... Why is... I don't know. It's a YouTube thing. Can't figure it out. But like if I was to go over and look at the streaming myself, it's 20 seconds after or something. So let's place a sound really close. Let's place another sound really far. That one's clearly loud. Place one over here. Yeah, it's ignoring the volume completely. Alright, so let's, for a moment... Oh, that didn't even remove it. Oh, wow. It got real loud there for a second at the end. So let's assume maybe that's this streaming junk. And false, true, no streaming. And we're going to change our sound to the wave file. I'm quite sure I've used OGG for positional sounds before, but again with JMonkey Engine's audio, it can sometimes be a trick. Yeah, we're supposed to be looping too, which we're not. It's probably for the best at the moment. So move this up so we can see a little more of the logs. Too many logs. I'm gonna have to clean those out before next weekend. Alright. This is nighttime. That moon is still awfully full. It's been a full moon like every night. I hope that's not broken. Seems to work. Alright, well, whatever. Okay. Let's do some sounds. Okay. Let's see, we're gonna... Definitely paying attention to the direction I'm facing. So let's see. Okay, so that's definitely picking up the initial. Yeah, see, and then this, and I know the dynamic volume works for other things. So what am I doing wrong? What am I doing differently here than I was doing for the other things? The only other thing that's different is the cached thing. So let's cached false. So let me look at how I set up the ambient sounds. In sound state, wait, where is it? Audio here goes streaming, cached, streaming, true, cached, false. So let's make sure we're not cached. False, false. Try that. We shouldn't need load the whole thing. It'll automatically do that. So set positional true. Volume wasn't even working before we set positional. Audio node play. Isn't that what we're doing over here? And sound. Let's look at sound. Yep, we set the volume, we play, we set volume, we get all kinds of dynamic volume. I was getting a delay with it before, but that was my own fault. So this is super strange. Let's grep playing from the logs. Make sure we're not like playing it 50,000 times. Nope, we played it. We placed it twice, we played it twice. We didn't have a position at the time though. Is that because, yeah, we set the sound before the position. Let's not do that, just in case. Oh, we're not stopping the sound either. That's not good. Feels like something dumb is wrong. Playing sounds. Get a position. So we had a spawn position. We didn't have an audio node first. So actually, I did have these right to begin with, unless we want to make sure to call reset position. Yeah, every time. Yeah, so we do update relative position when we call set position, but we don't do it when we set the sound. But we probably should. That's not the problem, because even the global settings are not affecting this, even though they should be. So basically this audio set volume is doing nothing. And that makes it act like it's not even the same audio. It's not. You know how I said it's got to be something dumb I've done? You see this right here? That's stupid. My oldest child right now is learning Intro to Algorithms, and I've been trying to convince this offspring of mine that software development can be very frustrating, because you do dumb things and you just move on. You figure it out. Don't feel dumb about it, although it's really hard not to feel dumb about this. So if I remove that, everything should start working. Because we were never setting the position of this, it's always 0, 0, which is why it sort of seemed to work. And of course, because we'd overridden and we'd created a whole new audio node, yeah, we were never setting its volume, we were never setting any of that garbage. Gosh. So, software development. We do stuff, we see it doesn't work, we figure out why it doesn't work, and we fix it. And then we find the next problem, and we do it again. And if we do it enough times, sometimes we'll get things that work. It's just the way it is. Oh, I forgot to remove this. Okay, so the positional part is not working, and boy, that's super loud. Okay, delete you. Let's try placing something. Hey, this part's working. Boy, that audio is really loud though, because even at like 2%, it was still loud. So it feels like the positional stuff is not working, but at least we're back in the realm of things making sense again. So if I remove this, let's place another one down. Be prepared. Be prepared for loudness, because it's not going to be quiet. Yeah, I was definitely paying attention to the volume. So let's set the volume down a little bit. Yeah. So, alright. Okay, stereo is working. I don't know if you can tell, but if I go over here, it's on the right side. If I go over here, it's right in front. It's over here, it's okay, stereo audio is working. Distance stuff is not working. So the distance fall off is definitely not working. But the stereo part's working. So I have to debug my positions and things. It could be, what could it be? Let's see, what do I log? I log audio position. Well, let's grep sound view state from the Mythruna log. Yeah, we get lots of this listener location crap. Yeah, so let that finish its thing. The audio clip is I guess it's like a washing machine spinning up or something. It was from, so there was original Mythruna that had the old crappy Nifty UI screens, and I'm not trying to say Nifty is crappy, that's an argument for another day, but my UI that was built in Nifty was certainly crappy for the original Mythruna. And then there was a prototype UI that I did that had a desk and a machine for creating the world. It had like concentric discs that would spin around, and then when they stopped, you had the map of the world there, and you could use that as your world. The sound for the spinning was a bunch of things, but was also this machine spin sound. So that's what that audio clip is. It's just kind of an obnoxious, easy to hear over whatever else you got going on. It makes a good test, and it's reasonably long without being too long. So anyway, this finished down here. We've got all these listener coordinates, and the audio position is at 1 meter, 472.6, and then we are at 10. So yeah, audio should have been, our listener distance, or even right here, is 9 meters or something. So I think the audio should have been half and half again, or something like that. But I also remember positional audio being really tricky. And that's the weird thing, is it's trying to work. Anyway, this may require me to drill down into JMonkey Engine, but the point is, oh, it's going okay. Yeah, the family's a mixed bag, right? Life is what it is. We try to get by day to day. So I think this is where I'm going to stop development. I'll talk a little bit about where we're going next. What did I want to bring up while I did this? Oh yeah, so not this. What are you doing? This. What I wanted to say. So again, if you guys think of ideas for future streams, please leave them as a comment in the video. I'm gonna make this small so I can actually see the chat if people say things. Yeah, I haven't heard from Gamekeeper in a long time. Wow. All right. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else. Either way, nice to see you again. So yeah, if you have ideas for future topics, I'm trying to cut a release this coming weekend, the Halloween release, and so Friday will either be the Friday live stream. I hope will be sort of a walkthrough, maybe a short-ish walkthrough video of what will be in the release, or what was in the release if I cut it on Friday. I may wait till Saturday and wander around and do some stuff and talk about what the next steps are, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Play by ear unless somebody has something specific they want to see. Otherwise, so this week I'm trying to fix the audio bugs. Oh, wow. Wouldn't have been 2009. I didn't start developing Mythruna until 2011. But yeah, a long time ago. I'm trying to cut the Halloween release next Friday, Saturday's time frame. And so this week I'll just be trying to fix bugs, and now apparently fixing a positional audio bug. I don't know if the tree physics will be in that I demoed last week, just because I haven't gotten a chance to hit the to make sure that the transitions between physical and not physical. Yeah, mobs and health damage. That's really what we want, right? We want mobs and being able to kill things and be able to be killed, and all that's coming. Actually, what I could do is bring up the master task list. Yeah, I thought, I'm active on some music communities. We did the Music Weeklies Challenge, which I was participated in for a long time, and I've always thought it'd be fun to kind of live stream creating a song, from scratch or something. And so, I have a webcam. I just haven't hooked it up, so I could point the webcam at my keyboard. I might have to live stream from a different computer because that's where my music setup is. But I thought it would be fun. Bring up Reaper, put some tracks down, and talk about music composition and the kind of the direction I want to take the music in Mythruna. I thought that could be an interesting topic for some future live stream. These were the tasks that I wanted to try to get into the Halloween release. This was kind of the pie in the sky stuff. So today or tomorrow, I'll go through this and I'll triage what's actually going to go in, and then a lot of these are immediate next things. I want to get the sort of tool system in as far as how you interact with axes and swords, and before I can have mobs that you go and attack, I need to finalize how you interact with the things that you would use to attack them. But some basic mobs are definitely on my to-do list, even if it's just like fireflies or birds or something that don't actually do anything but kind of flesh out the system. Birds are kind of neat because they can randomly appear and randomly disappear, and it doesn't really matter. But it'd just be neat to have some motion in the world. I really do want to get wind in, especially now that the ambient physics ambient sound is in. I'll re-enable ambient sound for a second so that those of you who missed it before can hear that we've got the day-night ambient sound back from the original Mythruna. I actually tried to copy the settings as close as possible, so it should be relatively the same. And I'm going to flesh out I really wanted to get the random Foley sounds, like, in the middle of the night hearing the owl screech in the trees. That's what I'm going to be working on this weekend, is finishing sound. And then I left that object there. Hello, sorry it's so loud. And it's going to stay that way because I don't clean it up properly. Oh, it was I thought maybe it was getting quieter. Anyway, you can hear the ambient sounds, and it's nighttime crickets. Yep. Yeah, because that's really what I want. Like the doves and stuff, it would be nice if there were actual birds representing the doves. See, we've got ambient sounds, and if I bring up the time debugger and run time forward a little bit, we start to hear the morning sounds come. And there's this weird humming in the left ear that I have. One of the sounds, I don't know why we never heard this in original Mythruna, but one of the sounds has this sort of humming, low res. I'll have to filter that out or find a different sound that's similar. Let's go watch the sunrise. Oh, if we go too far away from the trees, we'll stop hearing the trees because it's distance-based now. You can hear the wind coming up. I just heard a little bug fly by. Oh yes, here's some doves in the distance. I listen to these sounds enough, and then when I'm not even playing Mythruna, I feel like I hear them in the background. I don't know if those of you who used to play original Mythruna a lot had this happen to you. Look at the morning doves. But unlike old Mythruna, I currently have this one set up to get quieter as you get farther away from the trees. And it's a little aggressive at the moment. But what's supposed to kick in here is just kind of a breeze or wind that's not specific. And so when you head back over, it'll mix the two, right? So there's always some kind of ambient noise going on. Because in real life, there's always some kind of ambient noise. And if there isn't, you hear it. So like if I was to go down here, let me flip over to build one real quick. Because the other thing about old Mythruna is that one thing that did work is if you were inside of a building and blocked off your access to outside, sound would go away. And so then if you come back, it comes back. So that's still true. It's not very advanced. That'll get more advanced later because the new Mythruna actually does look around. That's how it knows we're standing near trees. It examines the area surrounding you and will know things like where water is. Right now it just uses trees, because I was playing with some algorithms for determining how to tell when you're far away from trees and when you're not. And eventually like which direction that the trees are coming from. The current algorithm is kind of neat though, because if you go deep in the dark forest, the nature sounds get a little quieter. Like the trees themselves are blocking the sound of all the birds and things. But if you come back out into the clearing, it gets louder, which I think is kind of cool. Anyway, this weekend is sounds, getting the sound system, if not finalized, at least working to the point where I can iteratively kind of fix it as we go. Look at that. Doesn't it make you just want to just run out there and see what's over there? Yeah. Wait till there are roads and stuff. I mean, castle. Maybe you can see a castle off in the distance. That would be kind of cool. Anyway, I think that's all for tonight. Thanks for joining, guys. Where's the thing? I'll bring up this one. So, thanks again to my patrons. If you want to become a patron for helping me develop the open source stuff, or if just you want to contribute in any different way, that's the address up there. It's also linked in the what they call the doobly doo on the YouTube video now, since people requested that, and my follows. And if you would like to download the new version of the engine and don't have access, just contact me in a PM on any of the places, or I am at simsilica.com. I am pspeed. You can get to me that way and send me an email, and I will send you a link to the download with the password, and then also an invite to the Discord if you want to join the Discord. I think that's going to be it. Thanks for joining, guys, and we'll see you next week. I hope you guys have a productive week and do something cool. Thanks again.